SC's taken. Excuse me.
You.
Hold it, please.
After pulling out of the mission, Captain Raymond races toward the bridge, hoping to disarm the time bomb set beneath the dam. But he's too late as the car with the child inside drives right into the blast zone, and the bomb goes off just as he reaches the edge, engulfing the vehicle in flames and sending it crashing into the river. To avoid being blown apart, he jumps off the bridge just in time. Before the explosion, he had just linked up with Colonel Ned, who'd returned from planting the bomb. As the car rolled into view, Ray spotted the kid and told him to abort, but the colonel wouldn't have it. He only cared about the mission.
Activate the failsafe.
Is it Ray? There is no failsafe. Come on!
Not the collateral damage. Later, at the shore, the colonel waits for him and lashes out, accusing Ray of insubordination and disrespect. He slaps him, then kicks him to the ground with a gun in hand, barking orders like he's still training him. But the captain snaps and tackles him, landing heavy punches until the colonel bleeds and can barely move. Raymond makes his way to a phone booth by the beach, pulls out a disc, and slides it into a pocket PC. A number flashes on the screen and he dials, then a woman answers.
When you kill those three bastards, I like your voice.
Her voice is calm, like she expected the call, and she reminds him the offer still stands. 3 targets wiped out with explosives. He turns her down again, says he won't do it, even though it's what he's good at. She doesn't understand why he keeps calling if he won't take the job, but she also admits she likes hearing his voice, and he feels the same. As he walks away from the beach, a stray cat follows him and he tries to ignore it. But when the bus pulls up, he grabs the cat and brings it along. He finds her later at a cemetery watching from a distance as she drops flowers at a headstone. He plays a voice recording, her voice, detailing what those men did to her family, how she hid while they tortured her parents before killing them both, all because of something her father barely knew. Tired of waiting for him to make a move, May leaves a message saying she'll handle it herself. Elsewhere, Leon's son Thomas throws a party for his father, and Ned shows up. The tension's thick, and Thomas offers him a bundle of cash, but Ned tosses it into a waiter's tray demanding his full payment. He reminds the man that he saved the Leon family from total collapse and won't be cheated. He makes his point, then walks off. May arrives in style, white limo, heels clicking, head high. She walks through the crowd, and Thomas spots her from across the room with something about her catching his eye. He approaches and starts a conversation. She uses the alias, Adrian Hastings, and tries to stay calm, though she's tense at first. Tomas keeps talking, rambling about their bank's new branch opening on the exact spot where she once lived. She relaxes enough to engage, even though she's dancing with the man who helped murder her parents. The next day, Raymond boards a public bus where a group of loud gangsters are roughing up a woman. A pregnant lady gets on with nowhere to sit, so he stands to offer his seat. One of the boys slips into it instead, and Ray asks him nicely to move.
SC's taken. Excuse me.
You.
Hold it, please.
But the guy curses him out. He grabs the one with his feet on the seat, throws him to the floor, and kicks him in the chest. The next guy charges, but Ray deals with him, then flips him into the aisle. The third pulls a knife, which only ticks him off more, so he slaps him over and over until the boy crumples. The last doesn't get a chance, as Ray launches into him with a flying kick that sends him crashing through the bus window. With the chaos over, the passengers watch in stunned silence as he calmly helps the pregnant woman into the seat, then takes his glasses back. Leon's spoiled son had promised to show the lady around Miami, so they step into a small bar, and while they wait for drinks, he leans in, asking for a kiss. She refuses at first, but gives in when he pushes forward and plants one anyway. His wingman shows up and makes eye contact with the cartel boss, who quietly excuses himself to go rough up someone. The lady sees him beating the man up and instantly flashes back to the night her parents were killed. Without thinking twice, she steps out of the bar. She walks right past Raymond, who's been watching her closely without her ever noticing. The boss catches up with her outside and warns her never to walk off again when they're together. So she forces a smile, mutters an apology, and gets in the car as ordered. She keeps updating the mystery man about the mission through quick calls. That evening, she heads out dancing with the boss, while Raymond, stationed from a distance, does his regular stakeout and listens to one of her voice recordings, where she vents about how disgusted she feels whenever the man touches her. Raymond begs her to abort the mission, but she refuses. Wanting to to see the job through exactly the way she planned. Later, the couple gets back into their car, but the specialist's lingering stare finally draws the boss's attention. Though he clocks it, he says nothing, and at a red light, Raymond walks by, bold and intentional. The boss pulls away from the lady, steps out of the car, and stops him for questioning. Raymond doesn't say much even after the man suggests he's interested in the woman, so the boss pulls a knife, but Raymond stays composed and just walks off without engaging. After dropping the woman off, she gets out like someone drained, walking unevenly back to her place. She slips off her clothes and sinks into a chair, teary-eyed, trying to hold herself together until the phone rings. It's him, the mystery man, says he's taking over now and sets the rules. She's not to contact him first anymore. She needs to stay away from the cartel men and drop her personal plans. Even though she insists she can still help, he adds a warning. If she's part of a setup, it won't end well for her. She realizes he's somewhere nearby and scans her surroundings, but he turns off the light in the booth he's calling from, keeping his cover intact. Later, Raymond waits inside a brothel for Charlie, the henchman who helped Thomas murder May's parents. Charlie enters Manny's office to check his records after hearing rumors that someone's skimming money. While he's digging through the books, Raymond plants a bomb on the door and casually walks off. Charlie's girl tries to go in, but Raymond stops her gently and offers a drink instead. Inside, Charlie finds the discrepancies and shoots Manny in the head. But as he steps out, the bomb goes off, launching him into a giant aquarium. At the Leon mansion, Ned analyzes the bombing and immediately pegs it as the work of a pro. The precision tells him it's personal, not just business, so he advises caution. Thomas disagrees and wants to take men out to scout for the attacker, but Leon leaves the call to Ned. The son fumes, but the old man's word is final. Raymond returns to his grim little safe house, gets greeted by his cat, and does a sweep. His systems report nothing unusual, so he settles in. The lady hears about the bombing and calls to thank him. She wishes they could meet face to face someday, but he brushes it off and says he's focused on work. After reminding her again to stay away from the bad men, he promises to take care of the rest. Leon calls in a favor and brings the police chief into the mix. He introduces the bomb expert, one of his men, a former CIA operative. The chief agrees to work with him, as long as it's on his own terms, which Leon assures won't be a problem. Once they're alone, the boss reminds the chief to keep the job clean and discreet, handing him an envelope to seal the deal. The bomb expert arrives at the station and heads straight to the bomb unit, where he rallies the officers and checks in on their progress. While one of them goes through party footage, a still of May pops up on screen. He immediately dismisses the guy at the monitor and takes over. One of the lead officers challenges his authority, so the expert decides to prove a point. He mocks their setup, plays dumb for effect, then calmly assembles a working pen bomb from spare junk with a 20-second countdown. He hands it over while they panic and beg him to disarm it. After taunting them to their limit, he finally does, right at the last second. Lesson learned. And as from now on, all party-related leads go through him and him alone. The partners fly a chopper to Leon's beach house for a little stay over where the man sits at the foot of his lover, adoring her and feeling her skin. It's torment for the lady, who slips back in time to when her parents were tortured and shot by the late henchman, her present lover, and Leon's accountant. That same accountant has just finished with a hooker at the brothel. At the reception, he's teased about bombs and he waves it off, but still hesitates before getting in the elevator, though he takes it anyway. At the parking lot, he bends low to check for any threat and finds one fixed under the car, so he rips it out, suspects foul play, and tells the attendant to park it properly while he quietly slips behind a pillar just in case there's a blast. The car moves, but doesn't blow up, so he takes over from the boy and hands him the disarmed device. He doesn't notice, but Raymond's been lurking the whole time. The accountant drives to the exit point and inputs his code into the terminal, where a countdown kicks off, but he doesn't catch it in time. When it hits 0, the screen flashes a goodbye message, and the whole thing goes up. The car burns, launching him into the air while still strapped to his seat. Law enforcement flood the building with a chopper circling overhead. Ned strolls in for damage control, but already pins it on his former colleague, Raymond. He heads to the beach house and finds May trying to act nice, but Ned's not buying it. His slap knocks her onto the chair before the questions start flying. They had an agreement, a scratch my back and I'll scratch yours sort of thing, but she's yet to keep her end of the bargain. But she stands her ground, as there's no way she can command Raymond to stop being coy. And she reminds him that she's been important to the plan from jump, from designing those ads to bait the man to staying in place. He can do whatever he wants, but before leaving, he grabs her tightly from behind and whispers about how her parents were shot. Then he asks what she did to bring them back, and now her cheeks are soaked with tears. realizing just how evil the man she's teamed up with really is. Just then, Daddy's boy walks in and is surprised to see Daddy's favorite expert. No greetings, just straight up tension between two men who work together only out of necessity. He's already uneasy about the visit and even more unsettled seeing his woman visibly shaken. Some mild threats go back and forth, especially from the cartel prince, but the former soldier couldn't care less, brushing it off with pride that clearly gets under the other man's skin before stepping out. Back at his hideout, the former captain carefully wires an explosive to a small saucer while his cat runs around chasing rodents. At the beach, where the big man's son gambles, he shows up too, and he manages to swap the man's cup and saucer with the one rigged to blow, then starts making his exit. He halts when he spots the lady walking in to meet the man. Confused why she's even there after his warnings, he freezes. And right then, the thing goes off, knocking both of them to the ground. While everyone scrambles away, he runs toward the blast, but is held back by security. The expert rushes to the scene, impressed by how clean the job was, and he can't help but admire Raymond's sleek execution as the man watches from a distance. When the dust settles, he heads to a phone booth and rings her line, but gets no answer, so he walks away from the booth, clearly hurt. The old man mourns his son, who didn't make it out of the blast, and the expert shows up to give his condolences, but gets barked at instead. He's blamed for not protecting the boy, though he insists the late man was too stubborn to follow simple instructions. The grieving father doesn't want excuses. All he wants is the killer found, and that's in order. Still unsure about the lady's fate, the man behind the bombings breaks into her apartment and searches the place. He stops at the dress on the bed, holding it for a moment like he misses her. News spreads fast that Adrian Hastings is dead, reportedly taken out in the same explosion that ended the cartel heir's life. Back at his place, the man opens his computer and finds one of those old ads she used to send. That alone tells him she's still alive, so he races to a nearby phone stand and dials the number. A woman picks up at the police station, and now Ned's sure he's finally fished out the mystery man. The lady officer, taking instruction from the expert, pretends to be May's associate and asks for a meeting, but the man shuts it down instantly. Something feels off, so he follows his gut and asks for Ned directly. The man refuses to speak, but his name echoes through speakerphone while Raymond fires back about his disgraceful exit from the agency for breaking protocol. That hits a nerve, and the expert explodes over the line, shouting about Raymond's own body count and how he even killed a bystander once. He promises to end his former colleague's life, but Raymond's done wasting time, so he hangs up, ending whatever lead they had to trace him. Ned flips out, smashes the room, and starts barking at the officers. The specialist suits up and heads to the funeral, but the eulogy doesn't match May at all, so he walks up to the casket and opens it. It's an old lady inside, so he turns and spots her slipping in from the side. He follows her out and catches up, and when they meet, he disarms her just in case, but she's calm, pointing out she just wants to see him, making him lead her out quietly. Ned, catching wind of foul play, storms the funeral, doubting it's May. With a gun pointed, he forces the priest to open the casket, and when they do, it's someone else entirely, so he loses it, furious that he's been played again. Meanwhile, the two lovebirds head to a hotel. After all the back and forth, all the calls, all the emotion, they finally give in. They kiss hard, strip down, and soon she's on the bed, twisting and moaning with every touch. They move to the bathroom and keep going, her body against the bare floor, the shower pouring over them while he keeps at it. She mentions how she needed to look Tomas in the eye before his death, even though it put her in harm's way. She also needed to fake hers to get the cartel off her back. By morning, Ned's associate is at the hotel, flashing Raymond's and May's pictures at the front desk officer, even as the lady confirms their presence. In the room, he steps out from the shower to find her gone, with a note warning him to trust her less. Her exit from the hotel is cut short when she meets the expert at the lobby. She begins rambling about putting up an act, fake death just to lure the man out. And it worked. When asked about his whereabouts, she doesn't give definite answers and stammers through, making him suspect her. Knowing that the man they're looking for is in the building, Ned orders that the lady be taken to their car. The man escorting the lady out obliges her and lets her use the restroom. There, she forcefully retrieves a phone from a lady and puts a warning call to Raymond, who's now pissed about being set up. He hangs up the call on her and plans his escape as the men run onto him in a hurry. They reach the room door and break in, but the expert is wary of entering, so he sends 3 men inside, keeping his wingmen restrained. A phone on the table keeps looping an automated, unreachable tone, and one of the boys picks up the handset out of curiosity and drops it back on the base, triggering a bomb that blasts him clean out the window and into the river beneath. The cantilevered penthouse has been rigged with explosives from below, and the second that blast goes off, the rest detonate right after, cutting the structure clean off from the main building and dumping it into the river with 2 men still inside. Raymond breaks for the kitchen and finds his exit, but security's already been alerted. The first one who comes at him barely lasts a second before he gets floored and sent to sleep. Another clamps him and nearly gets his head dunked in large boiling water, but the escape artist uses sheer strength to flip the situation, and after a few fast exchanges, he turns the tables and sends the guy head first into the hot pot. The next guard fires, but it's blanks, and in the split second it takes to register that, the man hurls a knife straight into his chest, dropping him dead. Hotel alarms go off, people rush out in panic, and somewhere in the chaos, the bomber finds the wingman and takes him out with no sweat. The lady gets dragged before the man at the top, and her handler wastes no time branding her the enemy's closest ally and the reason behind all his recent failures. She tells her truth again, bringing up the night her parents were gunned down by the same men he's now losing, which explains why she's been taking them out one by one. The boss is ready to lose it, but the handler talks him down, saying they still need her for a few things, so he walks her way. As expected, a call comes through. The former agent stands by the lady, listening in while she works her magic. She gives it her all, but the man at the other end won't risk anything for someone too reckless to follow orders. She leans into their shared connection, the feelings between them, and how much they need this moment. He gives in and agrees to meet in an hour, though she sneaks in a line about that old note, her warning him not to trust her too much, just to tip him off. He drops her off at a safe distance, wires her up for audio, and sends her in. He jokes about what kind of good time they'll have once this is over, but May isn't having it, punching him, insisting that she's his only way to get what he wants, and he better start realizing how important she is. He raises a gun, but of course he doesn't pull it. Instead, he shoves her forward and tells her to go meet the man. As she walks away, he radios his men at strategic angles and warns them to shoot her if she tries anything slick. She enters the seafood store, and before long, her microphone picks up Raymond's voice. The expert listens in, but in just a flash, the entire place explodes. Buildings nearby shatter from the shockwave, and chunks of crab meat rain down over his head. Knowing who they're dealing with, they search the whole block, but find nothing. Meanwhile, the new lovers are drifting on a boat, the lady resting her head gently on his shoulder. The bomb squad regroups and starts breaking down phone call patterns, trying to figure out where most of the enemy's calls have come from. They play back conversations between the two, and using ambient sounds, the expert draws out the most likely route his rival operates from. He heads to a restaurant along that route to question the owner, but the guy doesn't remember anyone like that. His only hope is the delivery boy, the only one who might recognize the face. Back at his hideout, the lady says she wants out, but he won't let her leave just yet. She's fired up again, determined to go after Leon after learning he was the one who ordered her parents hit. He tries to slow her down, saying these killings won't bring peace, but she won't hear it. He holds her arm and begs her to stop, and after a moment she relents. Just before things take a turn, sirens start wailing, choppers hover overhead, snipers take positions, and armed men begin their breach. The delivery boy's given up the address. Raymond begins triggering his failsafes, and from the inside, he hits the first target, a bomb squad truck parked outside, sending shockwaves across the perimeter and putting everyone on alert. Their leader calls off the immediate assault, knowing how sensitive the layout is and not wanting to lose anyone to an accidental detonation as he still wants them taken alive. Knowing how his old student operates, he figures the man's got at least 3 escape paths and likely dozens of traps. He breaks through the perimeter with an explosion and storms in. Before the pair can flee, the former agent cuts them off from a distance, holding them at gunpoint. He breaks the news. Her cigarette pack is wired with explosives, and the slightest twitch could blow her to bits. He doesn't care much for her anyway. His prize is the man, and bringing him in would mean everything to the boss. He launches into a rant, all about how they used to be the best at what they did, until Raymond threw him under the bus with that agency report for being too unstable. He's never forgiven it, and now this is payback. He inches closer, still ranting, but steps on a pressure plate and the trap goes off in his face, launching him into a wall. That fall triggers a second charge, blasting him across to another corner. Raymond tells her to slide the cigarette pack over very slowly, making sure it doesn't go off. Once he gets it, he tells her to run, then tosses the pack just far enough before it erupts a few inches from him. He rushes toward her through the smoke. The failsafe countdown begins, and the voice automation echoes through the bunker. With seconds left, the two and their cat squeeze inside just before the whole building gets blown sky high. The blast knocks the tunnel halfway in, and small bursts chase them as they scramble out, but they escape just in time, with cops ducking for safety outside. News headlines declare all three, Ned, Raymond, and the lady, dead in the wreckage. Back at the estate, Leon thanks God for finally ending the nightmare, but just then, the butler gets handed a small parcel. It's a necklace with a pendant, and he opens it and sees a photo of the lady and her parents. Then he hears it, the faint but unmistakable beeping of a countdown. He barely has time to scream before it all ends in a violent blast. Watching from a distance, the new lovers shut off the feed and hop into their car. She feels like she's breathing again now that her family's been avenged, so they drive off laughing and kissing, with nothing left to hold them back.